All right, everybody, please take a nice big deep breath and let it all go. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Amen. All right, amen. Yeah. So in the last couple of weeks, I had made reference to the concept of what the body is in relationship to the course, and I talked about the little fence. So I thought I would kind of share a couple of the sections where it discussed this. So if you want to read along, we're going to start with the section on text 390, and it's called The Little Garden. Well, kind of. Yeah. All right, we're going to start with paragraph number 1. Okay, it is only the awareness of the body that makes love seem limited, for the body is a limit on love. The belief in limited love was its origin, and it was made to limit the unlimited. Think not that this is merely allegorical, for it was made to limit you. Can you, who see yourself within a body, know yourself as an idea? Everything you recognize, you identify with externals, something outside yourself. You can't even think of God without a body, or in some form you think you recognize. All right, so it is only the awareness of the body that makes love seem limited. And the reason for this is because we think of this as everything. When we add the little bodies, which we made to project our guilt, sin, and fear in, we now have these bodies that are the little fences around everything. And while we're in one of the bodies as in the mind, not just the body, it's important to recognize that. But if this is my little fenced in portion, and I believe the fenced in portion is what I am because I relate to my body, I miss the experience of the everything. So I'm very limited. There's, I oftentimes give the example of a little child looking at a baseball game, through a little tiny hole in the fence, because we can't see the whole of it because we're limited by this belief system.
We see the other bodies looking.
We see the other bodies as being their little fenced in places, or, fenced in bodies or whatever, yeah. But the body is a limit on love. Period. And, that's a real tricky scenario because here I am sitting in this little body thinking that's who I am. And I think as we understand this on a deeper and deeper level, it's not like you sit around and think, okay, pretend I'm not a body, I'm not in, and we know for those of you that have been studying the course for very long, there are numerous workbook lessons that relate to the concept of I'm not a body, I am free, I am as God created me. In fact, I think it's one of the most frequently used phrases in the course, if I'm not mistaken. And yet, well, exactly, that's where I was going to go next, right? Yes, yes. And even though that is truly who we are without the body, we have to begin with where we think we are, which obviously is, I believe this is my body. And how do I, there used to be a Sesame Street song, how do I get from here to there, which I always thought was a cute little ditty. And how do I get from believing I'm fully a body to remembering that I'm truly the mind that is unlimited? So what we need to do is begin where we are, which is I do believe I am in the body. And I do believe this person done me wrong, or my body hurts, or whatever the flavor of the day is of my irritation. But each time we experience that, to then say, wait a minute, the Holy Spirit keeps offering me a larger understanding of what I really am, and I want to access that. So the belief in limited love was its origin, and it was made to limit the unlimited. So if you notice the words, the belief in limited love was its origin. So the unlimited or the limited love came first. And then we put the body in the, the fence around the body of everything, and then we called that me. And all the other little characters in the play are the you. And then we vie against each other in this experience. I'm going to read that line again. The belief in limited love was its origin, and it was made to limit the limited. So if you listen to those words carefully, it was not an accident. It didn't just sort of happen to us. It was made on purpose because we were too afraid to return to the love of God, because we thought we did something horrible. So think not that this is merely allegorical, for it was made to limit you. So I now live in this limited world of which I think God is in opposition to, and I better, pay attention to what I'm doing here. God's going to come back and get me. Allegorical would be a made-up story. I don't know, English person, is that good enough? Right, okay, but that's right. Yeah. Can you, who see yourself within a body, know yourself as an idea? And the answer is no. You're either one or the other. I'm either, hanging on to the body and all the body stuff, or I'm asking to see what I am as that idea of truth.
You have to acknowledge that you're this little fence, whatever, that you're in there.
Right.
And you have to acknowledge that before you can get to carnity health.
Good way to put it, yes. All right, so everything you recognize, you identify with externals, something outside yourself. And be very aware, this character, this body is outside of myself as well. Because the body is surrounding the thought, and we believe the body is the answer, the thought inside the body, and it's not even inside the body, it's beyond the body. But as long as I'm identifying as the body, again, which we all do, so not to feel guilty or bad or anything along those lines, but to become aware, I put most of my energy 24 hours a day around the belief of this character, of this body. You cannot even think of God without a body, or in some form you think you recognize. And again, this is such a strong programming that we all live in, that most of us, if someone says the word God, some guy on a mountain with a long dress with long hair pops in your mind, whether you like it or not. And maybe, as it says, maybe it won't be a body, but it'll be some kind of a form that you think you recognize.
I mean, just when you said God, and so we're in this fence, and we're thinking things that have nothing to do with oneness. They all have to do with separation and what we do with our eyes, that are some kind of vengeance is going on.
Yep.
So even the word God, none of the words that it's indescribable what you're describing.
Exactly. Not only is it indescribable, it's impossible to access as long as I'm holding on to any concept that I believe is something of value for my congregating up this character called God, because literally I don't know.
And anything that your body would engage in is totally
A limit.
different.
Yeah.
Anything to get to God. So
Yes.
it's like the way your
Right.
heart is divided in half.
Yeah, and let me just get this other chart. So, we have our chart that depicts the judgment of my brother, but quite literally, once the ego was chosen, we actually made a god of sickness. And that god of sickness is the god that is been projected from the ego mind. So the God in the world, I guess you could say, is a God that is separated from the sun and has the attributes that the sun has. And that's why in some spiritual books, it will talk about God in a very loving way. And then it will talk about God, creating floods and he's going to damn you to hell and all those kind of things. That is not the God that lives over here. This God is pure, absolute, complete love that sees nothing other than oneness. The one that has anything to do with anything other than pure love is the made-up God.
It's like an entity, some kind of an entity.
Well, it's something
that's
outside of me as well.
That has a fence too. But his
Correct.
fences are bigger and badder than ours.
Correct. And then when we then project into the world, we play that same game with our brother, make our brother something other than what he is. And then we forget who he is. We forget who the real God is. We forget who we are. And all the while, the answer is right here waiting for us whenever we're ready for it.
You can't really access the real God in the ego part because you're using all of your senses, all of your ego to define it in ego's terms.
Absolutely.
So there isn't any way to define it in God's terms except that it's not nothing, but it's
well, it sort of is nothing.
So you can't measure God against anything else.
No.
You put your foot, you're like, God, damn it, whatever. But that's not a measure. That's just the way we think of God in terms of that God did it to us, or that because to say that kind of cements some kind of an idea or a relationship with God that isn't true, but it makes you feel better when you can swear about it.
Yes, and I would say at the same time in opening up to the awareness of what the Course is really trying to share with us. If it is comforting for you to think of God in some other way that you feel comfortable with, until you come to the point where you can really embrace the idea of I don't know, help. Then yeah. But be aware that there is a higher place on the ladder taking you home when you're ready for it. All right, so paragraph 2, the body cannot know. And while you limit your awareness to its tiny senses, you will not see the grandeur that surrounds you. God cannot come into a body, nor can you join him there. Limits on love will always seem to shut him out and keep you apart from him. The body is a tiny fence around a little part of a glorious and complete idea. It draws a circle, infinitely small, around a very little segment of heaven, splintered from the whole, proclaiming that within it is your kingdom God can enter not, I'm sorry. All right, so the first line, the body cannot know. What that means is while you're identified with your body, you can't have the awareness of what knowledge is. It's not, this word know is not information. It's the knowing who you are. And you will never be able to access knowing who you are as long as you're identified with the ego. It is only when that gets dropped and you open to show me who I am, that you will have that knowing of who you are, which is the knowing of who God is. And while you limit your awareness to its tiny senses, and the senses are in all the ways we relate to the world outside, my eyes, my ears, my smell, my emotions, you name it, all those things that we use to calculate what's going on in the world, you might say. And while you limit your awareness to its tiny senses, you will not see the grandeur that surrounds you. And again, as long as I'm attached to my little fence, all this is here waiting for me, but I will only see through the limited lens as long as I continue to affirm what I think I know beyond anything else.
As long as we make progress along the journey, we have to come to the understanding that our senses lie and always have lied.
Yeah.
And we have to believe that's true.
Yeah.
And operate accordingly.
Yep. And,
That's why Ken says this course is harder, that it's simple,
right,
but it's really hard if you're devoted to doing this course, because you have to see what you're actually doing.
yep, yep.
And these,
Yep.
they lie to you.
All the time. In fact, the course goes so far as to say, my eyes don't see, my ears don't hear, I don't feel. Well, that's a real hard concept to gulp.
Really, you're gonna end up bringing yourself to the understanding, this isn't.
It's just, and again, it is not my job to figure out how that's done. It is
Right.
my job to realize that what I'm experiencing in any given moment is not very comfortable.
Well, see, in our looking, we think we're seeing, and
Of
that's what
course.
the looking is. Oh, that isn't so. That's the looking coming to the understanding.
Mhm.
It isn't.
But it is one of the levels to the solution of it. You
Well,
have to
it's the
start
beginning.
sorting
All what you see out here or what you're going through is the opportunity to return to your mind and change your mind. That's all
Yeah.
that's really taking place.
Right. So basically what we do is take what the ego set up to have me perpetually point a finger at something outside of me, myself, to then turn this around, use it for a different purpose, which is if I'm disturbed by anything in the world, that's a reminder that this is what's in gear, and I can make another choice if I choose to, or when I choose to. And again, be very aware and in your observation of this process that there are going to be many times you are not going to be willing to ask for healing because you still have your dukes up, man, and you feel absolutely positively justified to use them that way. But there will come a moment in any given situation where that will somehow within you shift to the point where you may be walking over to punch somebody in the face and all of a sudden you'll realize, wait, why would I want to do that? And as we keep asking, we're literally bringing more and more awareness to this, and that gives less and less to this. And eventually that will begin to override the way you are in the world.
awareness that you're feeling yourself. That's why you're in awareness where your foot hurts. And that's your awareness. And so the first jump isn't to, oh, I'm the body and I'm not, that's not real. Your first jump is to my foot hurts, or you just, that's what your
Sure,
foot says.
going to start with the
And then
body.
As you do the course, I mean, I have found that now, because when I ask, or when I go through all this nonsense about my foot and, go have it x-rayed and nothing's wrong with it or whatever, then I come back to the place where, gee, nothing works, nobody's helping. And I say, okay, God, help me now. And then that's how I've experienced the course opening up. Like, it isn't because I go, yeah, I'm really ready for this. I can swallow this in, one reading or whatever. It's just that you're, whatever what it turns on, the thing that triggers it is that you've tried everything else, so that you're immersed enough into the world and all the crap happening.
Yep.
And nothing's helping.
Well, and I think when we've talked about, Helen and Bill, they came to that moment where they had exhausted the ability to figure it out themselves. And, the course does not say don't go to the doctor. It says go do whatever you have to do. But and whether it's a physical situation or a situation with another individual, how often does it occur over and over and over, and you try all kinds of ways to try to solve the problem, and then you finally go, all right, what do you got for me? Because I don't know how to figure it out anymore.
Maybe it's when you ask 20 people and then the 21st tells you something that all the rest of them said already, and none of it.
Absolutely.
Just get to the end of it.
Yep. All right. So, and while you limit your awareness to its tiny senses, you will not see the grandeur that surrounds you. The answer is always here, always available. But if I'm looking at the outside, trying to figure it out on my own, I'm going to miss the inside response or awareness. God cannot come into a body, nor can you join him there. So what does that mean? God can't come into the limitedness because he's expansive, he's eternal, he's everything. Why would he want to come into a space that is limited when all he knows is who he is, which is everything? And we're the ones that need to come to him if we want a different answer.
So if we really think God comes in to what we call the world, he'd be as insane as we are.
Exactly. Now, the tricky thing with that, though, is that when we do what is being asked, or we come out of our limitedness, sometimes something will shift in the world. It's that you enjoy it, you embrace it, but you don't do it because of the change in the world. Because this is really about the change in your mind. And if it reflects in the world, great. If it doesn't, that's great too.
Paragraph that said, seek not to change the world.
Absolutely.
Change your mind about the world.
Yeah. Yes. And be very aware, for the most part, most of us want the world to change, so I'll be okay.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
you finally
It's
come to
not,
the
yeah.
realization it's not out here.
It's not the answer, no. And again, I like to think of it as if a shift happens, that's frosting on the cake. Great, enjoy it. But if you're doing it for the frosting on the cake, you're going to
You're
lose
losing.
because
Point.
the point, this is about changing your mind about the world.
Because it's about expanding into the unlimited.
Exactly.
Not having anything come into your
Right.
world. And just that very small idea that changes
Yep.
the whole way you look at things is mind boggling. Why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just, something as easy as like, for over 100 years, they've made ketchup bottles that you have to shake and shake and shake. And within the last 10 years, they've made a ketchup bottle that you turn it upside down and you squirt it out. Like that's a whole new, just one idea of how, how it changes. Not necessarily the thing.
Right.
But your way of relating to it. Is that accurate?
Well, I would say if you don't have an investment in the outcome, it's really none of your business how it turns out. And we like to be involved with how it turns out and be very aware that that's still a big part of our experience. Yeah.
But that's really the miracle, is changing our mind, is going to a place that's away from whatever trouble we're having, asking for help. That's the miracle that we would even think of that.
Yep. Limits on love will always seem to shut him out and keep you apart from him. So again, literally, every time we are thinking, spending time whining, complaining about anything, we're literally shutting him out because it's one or the other in any given moment. Now, that sounds kind of rash and hard because it is. And yet, if that's what I really want, is to connect with the peace of God, then my job is to spend as much time there and is the least amount of time in the hamster ride. Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
So you stop concentrating on defense.
Yep. All right. So the body is a tiny fence around a little part of a glorious and complete idea. But what do I want? Do I want the fence or do I want the complete idea? It draws a circle, infinitely small, around a very little segment of heaven, splintered from the whole, proclaiming that within it is your kingdom. God can enter not. So again, if I'm playing in that arena, I'm putting God under the bus, period. And that's what we want because of our fear of connecting with oneness. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move to workbook page 425. And this is not a workbook lesson. It's page 425. And the section is called What is the Body? 425 in the workbook.
But that's not a lesson.
It's not a lesson. There's only 365 days in the year.
Oh,
For starters.
That's tiring.
Take away the fence,
Mhm.
it's not just God
Correct, because
It's like-
literally, as you begin to erase the fence by asking for healing, eventually you'll mesh into the oneness,
And oneness is,
everything.
it's overwhelming. I mean,
Well, it is if I'm not ready for it.
if you're not ready
Absolutely,
for it,
absolutely.
It's also
Yes.
war and pain and destruction and death.
Yeah.
It's in addition to love. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
everything.
right. But when you begin to erase the fence around you, you'll know that war and suffering and pain are not real.
Oh, no.
You will unequivocally, it won't be just, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, Jesus is telling me war is not real and this is an illusion. This will literally be, I will know that
You'll
this is
know
not
it's
real. Yes. It won't be a pipe,
You'll
whatever.
know it's an
It's an illusion. You will unequivocally know it's an illusion. Yeah. And it will still continue to occur, but it won't affect me because I will know 100% that it is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So workbook page 425, paragraph number 5. And this is a section called What is the Body? The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his self, capital S, from other parts. It is within this fence he thinks he lives to die as it decays and crumbles. For within this fence, he thinks that he is safe from love. Identifying with his safety, he regards himself as what his safety is. How else could he be certain he remain within the body, keeping love outside? Whoa, just a few lines and all whipped up with a lot of concepts. Here we go.
That's where it goes.
Yes, all right. So the body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his self, capital S, from other parts. So when we separated, we projected into the world. Now I have a body and there's lots of other little bodies running around that I have to relate to, of which most of them I projected my guilt, sin, and fear in, so
You
that
have
I
to
will,
defend yourself.
and I have to defend myself from them, point my finger at them, and wish that one of these days they would do something different so I could be at peace. But it will never work because my mind is not at peace because I've chosen for separation. And as long as I keep pointing my finger at my brother, I will never come to a place of that ultimate peace that the Course is talking about. It doesn't exist here.
That's why defenselessness is my safe,
Correct.
but I won't realize that until I come to that place.
Exactly. All right. It is within this fence he thinks he lives to die as it decays and crumbles. So if I'm in this fence, my body's going to decay and crumble. End of story, right? But that's not who I am. It's not who my brother is. And when I come to the point where I am totally aligned with this, what happens to my body will be totally insignificant because I will no longer be attached to my body. My body will just simply be the outpouring of the result. Well, it is always the outpouring of the result of whichever choice I'm making. And when I begin to make this one, my body will just be used for whatever the Holy Spirit needs for. Mary Ann is not involved anymore. Well, that requires Mary Ann to get the heck out of the way, and Mary Ann doesn't always like to get out of the way. And, we're being asked to just smile and become observant of how many times I want to be in the way. I want to be in control. I think I know the answer. I need to voice my opinion of this. And you do at that point. But that is not the top of the rope. For within this fence, he thinks that he is safe from love. Now, this is pretty powerful words. So when I'm placed in this fence, I think I'm protected from the unlimited, from the awe, from the total love. And if I'm afraid of love to that degree, of course, I'm going to feel very comfortable in my little fenced off place. And we have to really try to spend a little time grasping what that really means, because that's exactly what we're all up to. And Jesus would look at you and smile and not judge you, not attack you, not say you should stop doing that. Jesus would smile and recognize, oh my gosh, they're too afraid of love to let go of their fence.
You know, the crazy thing is, the fence won't save you from the attacks you launch against yourself,
Absolutely can't.
and they do happen.
And exactly, but if you know who you are, that won't, it's like having a really nice slicker on if it's pouring out rain. It's still raining, stuff's coming at me, but I know who I am. Nothing can waver that.
I mean, isn't that the whole lesson with people living in their houses? I mean, I
Yeah.
have a little fence around my house and then I have my
Absolutely.
neighbor's porches over there. My door is here. I shut the door, I put my car. So all of
Absolutely, same deal.
all of this is like protection. I mean, it's protection, they talk about homeless people, the protection between, your paycheck, that you don't get the next month, you're homeless. I mean, that's pretty much how it works, but how you're worried about people should lock your door, keep people out, do all those things, and this is protecting you
Exactly.
on each other.
And it doesn't, it's false. It's a
Right.
pretend. I mean, I've broken into my own house. It's not that hard.
I want to get into your house.
Absolutely.
they're gonna get in.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't lock your doors if that makes you feel more comfortable. But be aware, this is never, ever, ever going to protect you because it's coming from a world that can't possibly protect who you are.
Change your mind.
Change your mind.
That's how listening to a friend of mine talk about how she was good friends with her neighbor, and then her neighbor crossed her in some way, and now she doesn't speak. She hasn't spoken to her neighbor in 20 years. So she goes behind her fence in her house and shuts the door and pretends like everything's peachy with her neighbor. Yet it's
Well,
not.
and then be very aware though, before we had this information, we all did and
Right.
continue to do what the best we can to take care of ourselves, period. That's just where we are. But this is offering a safety that goes so far beyond that if we're willing to align with it. So that, literally, I mean, and I always bring it back to Jesus dying on the cross. From the perspective of the Course, all those things were done to him, and all he could see was love. There was no attack or judgment or they done me wrong or any of that going on. Well, to me, that sounds terribly freeing because, most of us are stumbling over something all the time that's causing me to lose my peace. When the option or the opportunity of being in that place of peace that can't be disrupted is available if and when I'm ready for it. But I have to want it more than the stuff. Identify with his safety. He regards himself as what his safety is. So if the Son of God identifies with the body that's going to die and decay and crumble, that's my safety if I'm too afraid of love. But when I begin to shift that into another awareness of, wait a minute, I want to know what love is, then we set up a whole different chain of events that will take us to a different place. How else could he be certain he remains within a body, keeping love outside? All right, paragraph 2. The body will not stay. Yet this he sees as double safety. For the Son of God's impermanence is proof his fences work and do the task his mind assigns to them. For if his oneness still remained untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? Who could be victor? Who could be his prey? Who could be victim? Who could be the murderer? And if he did not die, what proof is there that God's eternal Son can be destroyed? Now, this is a really sad, sick paragraph. And yet it really describes what the ego is up to. I literally choose death. I mean, we all do collectively as the Son of God who's separated, rather than oneness, eternity, love. And all the things that come with choosing for the separation as well, which are all guilt, sin, and fear, and irritation, upset, terror, fear, you name it.
That transcends all death.
Yes. all death. And, as we read through this, it's talking about the game of I'm an innocent victim and there's a perpetrator. And if I get rid of the perpetrator, I will be innocent. When in truth, if I've chosen this, I'm never innocent because I've chosen against what love is. So the body will not stay, and we all know that that's a kind of a fact in the world. Yet this he sees as double safety. So why would the Son of God think this was double safety? Because the body proves I am, and I was. Yeah. For the Son of God's impermanence is proof, and notice the word proof is in quotes, and anytime a word is in quotes, that's the ego's proof. So for the Son of God's impermanence is proof his fences work and do the task his mind assigned to them. So the world is doing what we assigned the world to do, and we're all taken care of. I don't have to go back to God. I can continue to blame something or someone on the outside, and I can continue to be the innocent victim. And that's a long game that we've been playing for forever and ever.
And I take a breath, sigh of relief, like, so
Mhm,
that
sure.
nobody's gonna get me.
Mhm.
But
And yet,
it's-
somebody
it's
broke
an
into your,
illusion.
yep,
It's an illusion, because if I feel
Absolutely.
like for any reason.
yeah, a noise.
Hear a little
Yep.
noise, yeah, then you're like, oh, who's that, or,
Yep.
so.
For if his oneness still remained untouched, okay, so in other words, if I could be in oneness and that remained untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? In other words, duality. Who could be the victor? Who could be the prey? Again, duality. Who could be the victim? Who could be the murderer? In other words, the game of duality would totally dissolve and fall away. Done. All finished. And since we're so addicted to living in bodies that the mainstay of the world is some form of me being an innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control, my game is done. And we're really addicted to our game. So it's quite a challenge for us to let go. But I think one of the beauties of Jesus, how do I want to word this? Jesus constantly trying to present to us what the Course is really offering us. As we hear it over and over in lots of different ways, eventually it will dawn on us that choosing for the ego really isn't to our advantage any longer. It worked fine when we wanted to be separate from God and be in charge. But as we become aware intellectually first and then experientially later, that this choice is bringing me something that I don't really want. It's not. Absolutely. Yes. 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 And we'll either push through it and, probably end up dying from the addiction, or it eventually will dawn on us, maybe there's another way. And for us, the Course is that other way for our practice. But even with any type of addiction, if there's that help, some people are helped by that. Yeah. But the addiction, and be aware, this whole concept of me being an innocent victim was, with somebody else being the problem, is an addiction. Exactly. No, I think that, thank you for bringing that up. That's great. And if he did not die, what proof, again, quotes over the proof, is there that God's eternal Son can be destroyed? So once again, it's literally saying that God, the Son of God, would rather be destroyed by this belief in death than be part of eternity.
And they just don't believe that that's true.
No.
They don't see how it can be. You really have to dig deep and keep digging.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep finding how it's true.
Little
And
gems.
so you can find eternal life, but you can't give up because
Right.
Everything points to that's not true. Everybody, all those people in their coffins were all dead, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, we can say, oh, doesn't it sound nice that we could have eternity? But do I really want eternity? If it means giving up my addiction. And Helene, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but Helene said, yeah, and I get to be right. And when I get to be right, as the innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control, guess what? God's wrong.
That's the ego's game.
That's
And
the
that's
ego.
what ego wants, and yay, look what I can do. You can't do that, God.
Even to I mean, I think there's a place in the course, and I know Ken used to talk about this, even to our death, we're really proving to God we've got something on him. Now talk about really sick, really sick. All right, paragraph 3. The body is a dream. Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but can quite suddenly revert to fear, where every dream is born. For only love creates in truth, and truth can never fear. Made to be fearful, must the body serve the purpose given it. But we can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what we think that it is for. All right, he's flipping it around, giving us some good news here after all that other stuff. So the body is a dream, and we kick around the words all the time of this being an illusion or being a dream, but do we really 100% accept that? And the answer is probably not most of the time. But one more time, he's introducing that to us. So the body is a dream. Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but can quite suddenly revert to fear, where every dream is born. And we all know very much of the roller coaster ride of our life. Oh, today's a wonderful day, yay. And then bam, I'm down in the pits of darkness, and I can barely get out of bed that morning. And how, when you choose for duality, if you have the high highs, you're going to have the low lows. And eventually we become less and less tolerant of the highs or the lows, and we'll be more aligned with just that everything in the middle experience.
So on that dime mode, I'm having a bad day, or I'm choosing what's going to be. You know, I get up and it's thundering and lightning and there's no electric, I mean, whatever, I'm having a bad day, or, oh no, I'm choosing now. Well, then let's see how that goes instead.
Right. And if every time we had a bad day, and I'm not saying I can do this, it's not, I think it's a good idea though, I'm saying it. Every time you have a bad day, if we could immediately revert to the concept, okay, this is what I've chosen because I want to be in charge and let God under the bus, but I don't think I want to do that anymore. And make it just that quick of a shift where you become aware that's the game I'm playing, but do I want to stay there? And when you don't want to stay there, that's the opportunity to choose differently. All right. For only love creates in truth, and truth can never fear. Okay, let's circle that word fear there. How many of you would love to have an experience where you had absolutely, positively no fear?
I mean, yes.
But the deal is, as long as I play in this arena in any way, shape, or form, I cannot access no fear. Because I'm choosing a world that fear is part of, you know, it's one of the words in my dictionary of the dualistic space. Over here, no fear.
So I have to change my mind from that very kind of easy little thing when I go in the house and I lock the door and I go, and I hear my mother saying, okay, lock the door, put the shades down, you know, whatever.
Right, yeah.
And so I have that little part where I go, now I'm safe, is absolutely not true. And
It's
I
not true.
I'm making up stories about it, that somehow nobody, if they wanted to get in my house, they would, you know,
Yeah.
break in and, you know, get it, whatever.
Right. And along with that, if you could recognize, oh, look at how that fear just jumped right on me. You know, it's like glue sticking to me. And wait a minute, I don't want to play in fear in any way, shape, or form. Holy Spirit, show me the experience where I have no fear. And don't try to decide even how, you know, again, how that I'm going to do that differently or anything. Just simply recognize, oh, I got me. I'm in fear. Stop. Okay, Holy Spirit, you keep telling me you have a better plan than mine. I want to know what that is. Well, you absolutely.
upstairs and say some boogeyman's gonna get in the
Yes,
house and that's
yes.
gonna be it, which could
This-
happen any
yes.
minute anyway, but
This is correct.
we have that small thing that says this is,
But it comes with the willingness to be separate. And you
Absolutely.
ask God to help remove the conditions
Yes.
that led to separation.
Which is the choice for separation, the desire to be God.
it's not about living in with my neighbor. It's about, the fence has to, my fence is what I'm working on.
Yep. And keep remembering, every single time you ask for help, a little part of your fence is being taken away. And you're being expanded into an awareness bigger than who you were before you asked. Every single time, no matter if the circumstances in your life get worse, healing has occurred. So, and there's a place in the Course where Jesus says, you know, you think you know how your progression, I'm not saying this quite as elegantly as it is, but you think you need to know how this is supposed to unfold. You think you know what the results are going to be. Anything that you have any attachment to an outcome, you're still in charge. I don't know.
And you'll fail.
And you'll fail, and you can't grade your progress because you don't even know where you're going. Yes. Made to be fearful, must the body serve the purpose given it. Okay,
And
so
it
when,
does that well.
and it does it very well. And keep remembering, when we chose for the ego, we literally chose 100% the opposite of what we were. Love, fear, love, hate, love, fear, you know, we have to become aware what we bought. But don't add judgment to it then. You see, because what,
Why
we-
are we surprised when that's what the mind is filled with?
absolutely,
Exactly what we made it, but,
exactly.
and that's what we see.
And what we're being asked to do is become private investigators, figuring out what the ego's all about. But if I then judge myself because I've chosen for the ego, then I'm right back in the hands of the ego. Simply become aware of what the effects of choosing for the ego are, and then reevaluate your desire as to what it is I want to accomplish now. Do I want to know an experience where there literally is no fear and all the other gunk that comes with that? All right, so made to be fearful, must the body serve the purpose given it? Again, when we chose the opposite, we got the opposite, and the body is part of that fearful experience. But we can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what we think that it is for. So again, what it was for is that I'm an innocent victim, you're the perpetrator, I'm off the hook. I don't have to worry about going back to love, and will always have something or someone to blame it on, and I will all set. So now we take what the ego set up as a reminder, oh, I've lost my peace again. Has nothing to do with this character other than this character or the situation triggered the awareness in me that I'm not at peace. We immediately, or as quickly as possible, go back to, okay, Holy Spirit, I chose wrongly. I want to know what you got for me. The body is, paragraph 4, the body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. Though it was made to fence him into hell without escape, yet has the goal of heaven been exchanged for the pursuit of hell. The Son of God extends his hand to reach his brother and to help him walk along the road with him. Now is the body holy. Now it serves to heal the mind that it was made to kill. So the body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. So this is not a course on getting rid of your body or your attachment to your body. It's about recognizing my body was made for a purpose, and there's another way to look at it. And I want to know what sanity is because I sure know what insanity is, and I'm about had enough of this insanity stuff. And Jesus doesn't ever mince with words in regard to the fact that he thinks we're insane. And if you literally could stand back and observe, anyone that chose all of this instead of all of this is pretty insane. It's not personal. It's just that we weren't too sure.
Someone else is doing this to me.
Yes.
Nothing's
Done.
I accept total responsibility.
It's a wonderful
And that's
place.
that's the beginning.
Yeah, it is the beginning and a wonderful place to be, because until you get to that point, you're just talking words and not
There's
doing
nothing,
it.
no one's doing anything to me.
None whatsoever. Yep. For only love creates in truth, is that where, no, in paragraph 4, though it was made to fence him into hell without escape. And again, this is what the body's purpose was, to fence you in hell with no escape. And, somebody mentioned this, we've been doing this a long time. Well, we've been doing that since the Big Bang. It's worked really well. Really, really well. Yet has the goal of heaven been exchanged for the pursuit of hell? So when we're choosing for the fence, we have literally chosen for hell instead of everything. The Son of God extends his hand to reach his brother and to help him walk along the road with him. So this is where, if I want to return to sanity, I have to begin to look at the world differently. This character is just reminding me that where my mind is. If I continue to point a finger at my brother and make him the bad guy so that I can look like the good guy, I am not extending my hand to reach to my brother. I'm saying bam, bam, bam instead, which we're all very good at. And once again, this doesn't mean I necessarily physically reach my hand to them, just like I don't necessarily take out a gun or a knife when I'm thinking about my brother in my mind. It's all up here. What am I doing with my brother? And once again, if you start out from, I just can't bring myself to offer love to this person. Start with that, acknowledge that's where I am right now, and ask the Holy Spirit to give you understanding on how to come to the place where one day I would gladly offer my hand to my brother. And if we literally understood, we kick these words around all the time, but if we literally could understand that what I do to my brother, I am doing to myself. And, please understand, I'm working on this just like everybody else is, and I know what a challenge it is, and I know how quickly the stuff pops up in your mind or in your experiences, and you've already got them around the neck.
That's a big, one of the lessons this past week was about my defenselessness,
In my defenselessness mind.
safety wise, but also that my attack thoughts attacking my guiltlessness.
Mhm.
That was it. My
Yep.
attack thoughts are attacking my own guiltlessness. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of something that's attacking toward my neighbor or my brother, and I have that thought in my mind. That's where it originated with like, it's in my mind. I don't even know what my brother did exactly. I like to think I do and get it all out of the way then, but that's the problem is we don't really know what, we don't know what we can't possibly know what our brother is thinking and what motive is. And if you assign them that attack thought, you're in that attack thought. You are there. Nobody else is there.
Nope.
Just you.
Well,
And so I think that was a pretty powerful statement to me. That so in my
Exactly.
attack thoughts are ruining my
opportunity for guiltlessness, right?
my that's what's attacking. That's what's happening when I'm having the attack thoughts. I'm attacking my own guiltlessness because I'm in there because I'm the one thinking the thoughts.
Yep. And also be very aware when we project it into the world, what I see in the world, both myself and my brother are coming from my mind.
It's so obvious when you look at it.
Yes,
I'm
it's,
amazed that it's, taken me 80 years to do that.
yes.
Well,
And-
it takes one to know one. That
Right.
was me. I remember hearing that and thinking that right away, and that's how I relate to it. That statement, and, it
Right.
makes sense, I guess, now.
And at the same time, when something comes at you, is that your first response? And that's what we have to work on to get that response a little faster, a little faster. So literally, like Jesus dying on the cross, I could literally look at everything that's going on, no matter what anybody's seemingly doing to me, and I would know unequivocally, I cannot be harmed because the body's not who I am. And that's a stretch for where most of us are, but we're starting to at least crack that cosmic egg of understanding that that's the game that's being played all the time.
But isn't that under the same category, wanting to walk on fire or walk on coals? I think I'm like getting there. That's not
Well,
the phrase we use, getting there.
Right. Well, I mean, that can be a reflection of that possibility, but even with that, am I doing that, or is the Holy Spirit doing that through me? And that's a question. Two people could be doing the same thing, and one of them could be doing it from one way, another from another way. Well, again, we can overcome because we're in charge. And keep remembering, we made the world. All of it.
That took a long time. But
Mhm.
that's true. She knows what happened in previous lifetimes for
Yep.
these people, but here they are, walking on the
Yep.
coals and
Yep.
not being burned.
That's what they want to do. When they talked to me about that, I said, no way am I going to do that. I don't want to do that. Everybody's bragging on how they got to do that because they put some part of their mind away for 5 minutes and walked across the poles. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that right now. That's just, and I didn't feel like I was being an idiot or stupid because I didn't want to try it, but it was the thing to do. It was like, oh, let's all do this. We're going to show God how good we are at this and how we can let go of
But
our.
it's still kind of fascinating though that some
Sure.
people can walk across the road.
Absolutely.
and birds at the end, so it's not like
Right.
you're gonna do it,
Right.
just like I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about this is, okay, somebody chooses to walk on coals, but are they reaching their hand to their brother? Okay, I mean, those are all fun, playful, some people like to do stuff. But am I really coming from a place what the course is asking us to be led to, of where I literally want to connect with my brother in oneness instead of make my brother wrong? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I walk on pole.
Yeah.
I have too. Oh, well.
And, I guess you could put it the way you put it. But for me, the facts are a little different.
Mhm.
So I was there, I was pretty sure I was not gonna walk on pole.
But you did.
There was a Native American person there, a shaman. I was there really just to watch everybody,
Mhm.
so, walk on poles. But, no, the person who was doing the storytelling, I don't know about when you did it, but he was telling the story of all of us. It was beautiful. And he pointed to the sky, we're like he pointed, I mean, so I guess it depends on your intent, but for me, it doesn't matter about what their intent was. It's showing me that my mind
It's
is where
stronger
the
than that.
source of all this stuff comes from, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
And so I decided to walk. I mean, if my brother can walk, I can walk. Why not?
Right, yep.
So that's what I did. I did see somebody get burned. I did have a little singe on one of my toes. But other than that,
Right,
we're, the way he had us doing it, we weren't identifying with all this.
right,
We were there in a group energy that would help us go across these,
the goals.
coals.
Yeah.
It was pretty long.
Mhm.
And
That's a game.
I'm looking at the sky. I'm supposed to pick a star and look at that star as I walk across.
Right.
Again, what's it for? To make me drop my stuff.
Your attachment, yeah. Yeah, and I think it expands the awareness of I'm more than I thought I was, or I'm not as contained as I thought I
I mean,
was.
it's not ultimate,
Right,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
but even a little shift changes the direction of the plane.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so once we reach our hand to our brother to help him along the road, now is the body holy. Now it serves to heal the mind that it was made to kill. So in other words, instead of dumping on my brother, I'm actually pulling my brother with me as I walk over here. And we're going to do one real quick more paragraph and then we'll take a break. Paragraph 5. You will identify with what you think will make you safe. Whatever it may be, you will believe that it is one with you. Your safety lies in truth and not in lies. Love is your safety. Fear does not exist. Identify with love and you are safe. Identify with love and you are home. Identify with love and find yourself, capital S. So again, if I have my safety in the fence, I'm going to get the results of the safety of the fence. If I put my safety in asking the Holy Spirit to show me who I really am, then I will get the results from that. So if you identify with what you think will make you safe, either one. And as an ego, I think being safe is the choice for the separation. But when I realize that's not working, I have the opportunity for something else. Whatever it may be, you will believe that that it is one with you. So again, we get very attached to whatever our choice is. But this gives us the opportunity to look at the effects of the choice and then question if that's what I still want to do. Your safety lies in truth, not in lies. Love is your safety. Fear does not exist. And again, if I'm in fear in any way, shape, or form, recognize I've chosen for the ego. Can't be any other way. Identify with love and you are safe. So anytime I realize that I choose for love, then I'm identifying with love and I will be brought to that safe place. Now, that won't necessarily happen the moment you ask for help. That would be nice. It just doesn't always work that way. Identify with love and you are home. Identify with love and you find yourself. Because be very aware, when we chose to separate, we left God, who he really is, behind. And we also left who I am as the capital S behind. I took on the identity of the little s self. So I have to decide which I want. All right, we will take a 10-minute break and we will come back. No. Okay, we are now going to go to Teacher's Manual, which is all the way in the back of the book. Let's see, page 38, paragraph 1, and I'm going to start with line 2. If anybody wishes to follow through.
That I was really good by the way, I'm sorry.
Line 2.
Yes.
I guess they're still talking out there.
Thank you. All right. Holy are you, eternal, free, and whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. Where is the world and where is sorrow now? Is this your judgment on yourself, teacher of God? Do you believe that this is wholly true? No, not yet, not yet. But this is still your goal, why you are here. It is your function to prepare yourself to hear this judgment and to recognize that it is true. One instant of complete belief in this, and you will go beyond belief to certainty. One instant out of time can bring time's end. Judge not, for you but judge yourself, and thus delay this final judgment. What is your judgment of the world, teacher of God? Have you yet learned to stand aside and hear the voice of judgment in yourself? Or do you still attempt to take his role from him? Learn to be quiet, for his voice is heard in stillness, and his judgment comes to all who stand aside in quiet listening and wait for him. All right, so this is one of the lines, and there's a number of them where Jesus talks about judgment. He explains that it's not that you shouldn't judge your brother or anything in the world, but that it's impossible for you to judge anything in the world, because in order for you to judge the world, you would have to know absolutely everything that has ever happened or will happen in order to put that into proper perspective. So, Shar, we're in Teacher's Manual 38, paragraph 1, line 2, if you want to read. So holy are you, eternal, free, and whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. So that's how God sees you, not the God of the illusion, as we talked about, or the God of sickness, but the true God sees you completely as free and whole and at peace. And we choose to accept everything else except for that. Now, we talked a few minutes ago about being insane. Now, isn't that insane if we would accept something other than this? Well,
That's the problem with a lot of people. It's just be quiet.
well, be aware. We like the chaos better than we like the silence. There's no question about it.
It's a habit of mind that we chose.
Well, yeah. And we love the insanity. And again, don't judge yourself if you find yourself there. Just become aware. I'm choosing that instead of holy are you, eternal, free, and whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. Where is the world and where is sorrow now?
God can only see us as he sees himself. He has
Absolutely.
no
Absolutely.
knowledge of the rest of this
No,
that we
no.
bestow upon ourselves.
Exactly. When God is in charge, all there is love, peace, eternity, oneness, joy, innocence, and we're the same. When we kicked him off, we chose for all the other insanity, all of it, one big package. And if you look at it from this perspective, all the stuff that we've chosen is encapsulated in this one bubble. And as long as I'm aligned with the ego, that's what's some form of this is gonna get played out. The moment I stop and say, wait, help, I'm accessing this awareness, where in truth, I'm holy and free and whole and at peace, along with God.
You can't use the word God and think of
Mhm.
him knowing all about us and how, so if that's part of it, but how we made God into our own image of what people are like. And that's why
Absolutely.
everybody is, that's why he's a little wobbly around when, things are going well. It's, he did this, oh God, thank you, God, when these things aren't going well, then, he's so, we're always like going back and forth between those two images in the world,
Right.
rather than reaching up to
Right.
the spot where that really, the energy really is.
Yep. And as long as we're doing it here, we're just chasing our tail. Nothing's happening. No healing can happen here.
And that in the work, that's the way people are talking about good and bad. And so
Mhm.
there's, they have something happens and then everybody's all around about who
Yep.
did it, why did it happen? They
Yep.
go over and over and over those things. And somebody steps out of bounds and calls somebody a name, and then that's not, it's like all this around any occurrence. There are 1,000 things happening before you get to the truth of
Yep.
it was an accident. Or
Right. Yep.
and
And
you have to know technically about the airplane and the helicopter to
yep.
allow yourself to go to peace.
Yep.
How much more, so you go back and forth, well, maybe it was the helicopter, maybe it was. They're looking back and forth, they've got these boxes, all this information to go through, it gives people lots of work to do. And I remember, one of the newscasters said that you're gonna know it, but he has to get a copy of it. Before they would just give the news, now everybody's mad at the news people. So just a caveat, some of the things that come out may or may not be true. He's giving his, trying to cover his hind end about it. And I remember being at Kent State when the students were shot. And the first thing they said was it's one of the National Guardsmen were killed. That wasn't true at all. And so that's how it happens. You just hear these things and hear another thing, and you don't know what's going on. I was right there and I didn't see what happened, but I was right there and I didn't really know. And I thought, well, this is terrible, whatever it is.
Well, and we have to keep remembering as well, we keep looking to the better things in the world instead of the really negative, terrible things. But these are all covering over what is truth. As long as I'm, running from the darkness to the light of the world, I'm still in the world. It's when I stop and go, I don't know, help, that I can then access the real answer where Jesus is right now. And he sees us all whole. We keep identifying with the separated part of ourselves. And so we don't see it from his point of view. And of course, God sees it there too.
Gather all the information around what happened. And
Well, but that's the whole world. We got to find facts in the world to support the story that we're holding on to. Well, for the time, right.
Competition over who did it, why did they do it, and why didn't they do this, and then get to the bottom of it, like why did it happen, who did it, who's responsible.
And it doesn't solve any
Right, it
problems
doesn't
ever.
solve the
Yep.
main problem.
And that's pretty much the description of the ego world. It never solves any problems. It keeps us very, very, very busy. Yeah.
People are so satisfied.
Oh, yes, but they still have nothing when they're done. That's the deal, that, the people are still dead from the crash or whatever it may be.
Personally, I just think it's a distraction.
Oh, big
And we
time,
look outside of
big time.
ourselves so that we don't have to look at the reality of it is, I do the same thing internally to myself as the helicopter crash.
Yep.
But as long as I'm focusing on the helicopter crash, I don't have to look at what I'm doing to myself.
Very true.
But doesn't Ken Wapnick say that do what you need to do in the world, and then when you've done it, then try to look back and know it's not real.
Well, and I would say we literally can't be where we're not in a progression along this way. So it's like, I might want to be up here, but if I'm down here, I have to take myself with where I am. And as Bert was saying, observing that me deciding I have to know that answer, observe it and recognize right now that may be where I am, but eventually that's going to be like down here and you're going to be up here. And it's just going to be, like this space people that went up to Mars and what, on their space journeys, they all said when they looked down and saw that marble, that it totally shifted their awareness of being on the planet because they were no longer part of the deal at that moment. And it gave them a totally different perspective. So literally, as you rise above the battleground and spend more and more time down there, you're not pulled into the things of the battle. But it won't happen, that's a gradual process. Most of us do.
Something can have been done differently and do it.
Right.
So it would be safer.
Yep.
So
And so that's where you are. Yep.
I think I understand this intellectually.
Right,
but we're
exactly.
not.
Yeah. And I would say that's where most of us are. And we're starting to catch this intellectually, which is a great step in the right direction. But then to be able to live in that place all the time is a whole different thing. Would you?
Plus, I could look at it this way in class about this, but then, when the guy was cleaning my gutters and charging me more money, I was wanting to know how much of this cost him. I mean, it's not like we're not, it's just different things of, meaning more to us. I guess maybe that fact that I was at Kent State and saw, knew guardsmen were here and these students were throwing. I mean, it was like I could see it happening in my mind's eye. And luckily, didn't go out on the hill. It was just, they were all out on the hill. And the guys had guns and people were throwing rocks at them and they shot them. That's just all they, like, what do you do when you're trained to use a gun on somebody? You just use it. So I guess it, like you always say, but in these little and it's never over. I mean, lot of things are still gonna happen in my lifetime that I'm not gonna like.
Sure.
And gonna be questioning and gonna be, mad at God until I figure out that it's just how it was. And it's just like, it's the way it is.
Yes, in the world, it is the way it is. And we can't deny that while you're identified with the body in the world, this is the way it is. Because I think a lot of times people try to, be over here when they're really over here. And my experience is I've had this done wrong to me or whatever it may be. So that's where I am right now. I can't talk myself out of that logically.
That's okay.
It's
Just
perfect.
accept that. But
Exactly.
know that for
Yes,
every thought that I have, there's an opposite thought. So
absolutely.
my experience of the helicopter incident is, we have not had an aviation crash, problem, whatever, in this country for like 15 years or something like that. It's a phenomenal safety record. That's the opposite. It's tragic those people died.
And then, of course, we had the crash yesterday.
Right. And how many people die on the highways every single
I
day?
get in my car and
Exactly.
drive here, and I'm at more risk than being in that.
And that's
Absolutely.
what they say. They say,
Exactly.
no matter what.
But be very aware, we grab something in the world, take it home, and then we play with it as an ego. Anything that will keep my attention, and look at 9/11. That took the attention of almost everybody on the planet, or the COVID thing. Oh, wow, we got a good one here. This is going to keep us busy for a long time. And once again, just be observant. Oh, wow, this one's got me really good.
It's a pretty sad thing if I need to look at the tragedy outside of myself does that somehow make me feel better about myself?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a sick.
Very much so. Yeah. Yep. Right. Yeah.
Then often I think, well, what's gonna happen next in my family, but then
Yeah,
I don't stay with that thought very much. I pray about it. I
Right.
try to let it go, or it's intolerable to think of it that way.
Yep. And again, within the concept of the illusion, death, destruction, horror, terror are going to continue to happen until we get this. And they're horrible as long as I believe I'm a body. Don't pretend that away, guys.
Yeah, I say, don't pretend.
No,
And that's what I'm trying to do.
right. And yet,
Don't pretend I didn't see all this stuff.
right. And yet, as you keep asking to see this through his lens, there will literally become a time where you will look at that with your eyes, but it will not have any effect on you. Zero, not just a little knot, zero. Because it will be like you were in a play or in a movie theater where unequivocally, I'm watching a show where some people get killed and some people die in a plane crash. But I know unequivocally that's not real.
That's the part that makes me feel good. I go to sleep at 10 o'clock and just about every night. Doesn't mean I see you, but it might be. Yeah, and it makes you feel good. There is no death. Never live.
Right.
God,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And it goes, great.
Your mind continues to learn in your sleep.
Yeah. I'll wake up and I'll think to myself, I need to wake up soon. But anyhow, at the end of these DVDs, the music gets a little louder. I should be waking up, but if I didn't wake up with it, that's pretty damn good. When you do wake up, I'm like, oh, you didn't hear that ending, I must have
Right.
been asleep. That's really good.
Right. All right, so back to the lesson here again. Teacher's Manual 38, paragraph 1, line 2. Holy are you, eternal, free, and whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. Line 2. Is this your judgment on yourself, teacher of God? Is that what you believe 100% unequivocally? Says, do you believe that this is wholly true? No, not yet, not yet. So, I just always marveled at the fact that Jesus is literally oftentimes in the Course telling us that he knows where we are and it's okay. So don't be so like, shocked or trying to hide it under the carpet or whatever. He knows it already. He's trying to help you go from where you already believe you are to a higher place. Says, but no, no, yet no, not yet. But this is still your goal. Why you are here. It is your function to prepare yourself to hear this judgment and to recognize that it is true. So how do I get to the point where I recognize that's true? Observe all the things that you believe are true instead of that, which seems a little messed up. But that's really how we start, is to become aware. What are my thoughts? Well, my thoughts are going to the plane crash or this or that, or this person didn't treat me the way I wanted them to, whatever it may be. That's where my thoughts are 99% of the time. I ask for help, fortunately, in the process of the Course a little more frequently than I used to, but I could be there all the time. So if you catch yourself being pulled in, whatever it is you're being pulled in on, and you catch yourself, don't judge yourself or attack yourself. Simply stop and go, wait a minute, I want to align with what Jesus has to say. Help. Don't make it a teeter-totter ride. Well, oh, I'm bad because I didn't do that as well as I should have, or I should have remembered sooner. I simply went that way, and now I want to go this way. This next line is so beautiful. It is your function to prepare yourself to hear this judgment and to recognize that it is true. One instant of complete belief in this, and you will go beyond belief to certainty. So we will, as we keep practicing this, we're on Teacher's Manual 38. If you want Teacher's Manual 38, are you in there? Yeah, whatever. All right, so think about this. One instant out of time can one instant out of time can bring time's end. So literally the holy instant is that moment when you're tick-tocking in time and you hit one of those places where you can't tolerate and you ask to see it differently. You are literally one instant out of time that can bring time's end. And the more often we do that, the more we're literally ending the need for time. And we've collapsed all the space of what I would have had to live through when I'm out of time and space. A big value. Spend a lot of time here if you can remember. Yeah. Yeah.
You're balled up in it. You're balled up and the phone rings and what happens if somebody wants it.
Well,
and then you have to stop.
Well, and be very aware, again, I'm the hero of the dream, the center of attention of my world. And there are so many ways the ego has been set up to pull us in. And they're all very legitimate according to my belief system at any given time. And of course, I think I need to go fix it or change it or make it better or different, whatever. And he's saying, stop, be silent, come to me. And I'll show you another way. As long as you're chasing your tail in the world, no matter how adamantly, kindly, valuable you think it is, it's still being pulled here in time, and you're being pulled away from the timelessness. You're the one with the key, though. Judge not for you, but judge yourself, and thus delay this final judgment. So when I judge, not just somebody outside of me, but me. I mean, all day long, I'm not doing this, I should have. I'm literally saying, God, I am not holy, I'm not eternal and free and whole, and I'm not peace forever. You see, I've got this problem I've got to put my energy to, and be very aware that these are so subtle. They're churning in your mind all day long. If it's not somebody out there, it's something in here that I hate about myself. And yeah, and all I'm doing is literally saying, God, get out of the way. I know I'm a piece of shit, or they're a piece of shit. And I've got it under control. I don't, holy am I and peaceful and blah, blah. I can't do that right now. I've got things to do and places to go. And he says, okay, go for it. It's all up to you. And again, this final judgment is I am love. I've always been love and it can be nothing but love. And we close the door to that every time we choose to give our energy to something that's going on in the world. All right.
It's.
Mhm.
I
It's a good start.
I know these things, but I don't necessarily believe them, and if I really did, I wouldn't be here.
Well, and even if you believe them, we have to be very respectful of the fact that we're very addicted to this.
That, I know,
And
and that's
so
my default.
just like any addiction, that's going to run the show until I overcome the addiction. And that may take some time.
It's just-
Oh, big time. Sure.
What system did I pop in on?
Mhm.
And why? I mean, not why, but just like, how did that play out? And then how, when my turn comes around next, is what if I'm thinking about, I wish I had been a concert pianist and I pop back in and I have to do that.
Well, that's another thing to
It's like,
consider. Yes.
What's in,
Mhm.
and that, so, but that's not, it doesn't matter then what you are, what your job is. It just matters that you understand that
Right.
how it works and how you pop in and then you go through those things. And I guess that's really the salvation. It isn't that we're going to be dangling around up and, dancing around in heaven with no bodies and having some kind of a high old time. We're having an awareness of how our thoughts are working through us.
Right. And the deal is, you see, I think I have control over even this undoing process, and we don't. It's like I can, think, okay, well, I'm just going to, say this mantra or whatever it may be over and over and over and over. And then somebody will ask you a question, and that's the moment you die and you're answering the question. So it's when I'm there, I'm there. And when I'm not, I'm not. I can't make myself figure this out, but I can recognize I'm playing in this arena and I don't like it any longer. Help. And then that allows this answer to continue to come forth. And every time you ask for this, you're becoming more aware that you are holy and eternal and free and whole and at peace forever in the heart of God. But I don't have to figure out how to access that. I do need to recognize I'm playing in the fire and I wonder why I'm getting burnt. Yeah.
So if you think of the words in the chorus, using God, peace, joy, things like that, that it's different from the chair. These are refined kind of words. So rather than saying, I'm not a chair, or I'm not, saying the words peace, in my mind, I'm asking a question. The question of God is this, show me what this means to you.
Right.
Show me what this word means in your mind,
Okay.
and I can follow that. So that's where the words are valuable, they're useful, but sometimes I think people can't use those words because they haven't had an experience of it as well.
Well, certainly when you have an experience, it does nudge you forward a bit in regard to, now these just aren't words. This is an experience that I've had that I know that I'm not the same person I was a moment before because of the result of this.
I think even just that, that affirmation, well, the peace of God is shining in me now. I don't know what any of those words mean. They
Right.
have no meaning except the ones that I am looking for, asking God to show me what does it mean. And if that's true, I mean, help show me how that's true for me and how that's going to bring me peace. If that's what I'm reading that says that. So it isn't so much me saying the words over and over again. It's more of me like trying to dig underneath them and find out, what is he talking about? How is this supposed to look? What does this mean? And then that's the answer that I'm looking for, is the one where God exposes himself, the peace or the quiet or whatever that's we're looking for, rather than talking about it like it's some something, like, oh, the peace is over there and the joy is over there and, whatever. It's really a level of thought, a level of words that is, takes me there, but I have to ask to be shown how.
Yeah, we have to be asked to be shown another way. And we have to be aware, if I am suffering from anything that's not total joy, peace, connection, and oneness, it's what was chosen by the Son of God and it has brought me to this moment. Not to feel guilty about that, but simply be aware. Because if I was literally aligned with love and peace, I would be over here. There wouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't have to ask for anything because I would know, I would be that. All right, so what is your judgment of the world, teacher of God? Have you yet learned to stand aside and hear the voice of judgment in yourself? And if you notice in this, the word judgment is, the voice and judgment are capitalized, meaning when you ask for his answer, not your answer. And then you'll be led to the understanding of what truth is. Or do you still attempt to take his role from him? And again, I'm either taking his role or I'm allowing him to take charge. Only two ways here. That's one of the ways the course is quite simplistic. There's only two choices. I'm either doing it on my own or I'm allowing him to do it through me. And as long as I'm doing it on my own, I'm always over here.
No, you have to wait for the signal of the feeling of peace, of some different attitude, of
Right,
some,
yeah.
even just the wherewithal to start asking
Yes.
is the
Big, right?
turning point.
And understand, as irritating as it may seem to be, that quite literally, my brother then becomes my salvation. Because if something in the world, and oftentimes it's in a relationship, can trigger something in me, that individual is actually my salvation because I don't remember this. I've closed this off. There's a nice line here. I don't remember that was what the choice was made, but I sure know when somebody triggers me. That's bam, So literally, if I recognize I can be triggered, it's a reminder to me I've chosen for the ego instead of love. And I can choose to hear the voice of God by dropping my story about my brother and asking to see it differently.
My brother feels me to be.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And after you get tired of killing him, then you'll appreciate the fact that he helped you with it.
How can I possibly recognize what I think I see in my brother unless it lived inside
In
of
you,
me?
yeah, you carry the blueprint. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice idea, but I've been hitting my head up against that wall a long time. If you don't
Yeah.
like what somebody's doing, they're doing it. I mean, it's, that part's a no-brainer. You see them doing something you don't like, well.
I know, but what this
you know
course
how-
is
how
trying
do
to,
you get there? Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
It's revealing something about you that you don't like.
right,
So your brother is your salvation.
yes,
But
yes,
the last one you think it is you.
yeah,
I
always,
mean, just
always.
Immediate outcome,
Mhm.
immediate, whatever it is, oh, like somebody's coming at you.
Sure,
That's why we
always.
practice.
Yes, yes.
Like, but
And
that's how, you can still be practicing and then in 5 minutes have something happen. that
well,
comes-
undoubtedly it will. But keep remembering my simplistic story. If you're an orange and somebody squeezes you, what comes out? Orange juice. If you are love, the only thing that could come out would be love. If I'm not expressing as love all the time, I've got work to do. They're just my helpers. Back on the way.
Start saying, oh, no, the piece of God is shining. Please help me like that.
Yes.
So something somebody said in another group I went to said that the circumstances, whatever circumstances you're going through don't define us, but they reveal us.
Absolutely,
That's
just what Bert was saying. Yes, Yep.
Circumstances don't define us, but reveal us.
yes. But we have to become mature enough spiritually to own that so that we then use it for a different reason, which is what the course is asking of us. So learn to be quiet. for his voice is heard in stillness. And, when I'm in chaos and, confusion and whatnot, there's no way I'm going to come to the proper answer because it's coming from insanity. And his judgment comes to all who stand aside in quiet listening and wait for him. Again, if I'm in charge, I'm not waiting for him. I'm doing the do. But if I want him to be in charge, I have to step aside, step aside.
I think you have to, meditation is one way to. step
Sure,
aside.
that
I
can be
step
one.
aside, But also I can keep aside inside.
Absolutely,
That part I keep with me all the time, otherwise
absolutely.
I'm just gonna get pulled.
I so agree, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with meditation. If that's something you enjoy doing, by all means, continue to do it. But can I meditate all day long where I'm taking that with me all the time? Because I can meditate for 20 minutes in the morning and the evening, but if the rest of the day I just go about being my normal self, then I've lost many opportunities. So that's great. All right, paragraph 3, and this is a good one, guys. You who are sometimes sad, sometimes angry, who sometimes feel your just due is not given you, and your best efforts meet with lack of appreciation and even contempt, give up those foolish thoughts. They are too small and meaningless to occupy your holy mind an instant longer. God's judgment waits for you to set you free. What can the world hold out to you, regardless of your judgments on its gifts, that you would rather have? You will be judged and judged in fairness and in honesty. There is no deceit in God. His promises are sure. Only remember that. His promises have guaranteed his judgment, and his alone will be accepted in the end. It is your function to make that end soon. It is your function to hold it to your heart and to offer it to all the world to keep it safe. All right, once again, this paragraph really depicts how much Jesus knows exactly where we are. He knows you who are sometimes sad and sometimes angry. How many of us aren't still sad and angry at times? Who sometimes feel your just due is not given you. Well, I'm a poor little innocent victim. Somebody didn't, acknowledge me. They didn't look at me the right way. They called me a name. The list goes on and on and on and on. And they're all extremely painful if I'm identified with my ego or this character called me. And yet, that's what I'm holding on to. If your best efforts to meet with lack of appreciation and even contempt, give up these foolish thoughts. All right, so he acknowledges that's what's going on. That's what you guys are still playing in. But he's asking us to give up these foolish thoughts. And why would he ask that of us? Because he says they're too small and meaningless to occupy your holy mind an instant longer. So I'm dabbling in the insanity of who knows what's going to show up next in our little bubble of insanity. He says, come on over here. This is way better. But,
Life is a box of chocolates.
there you go. Yeah. But with us, every piece of chocolate falls and keeps us deep further into the pit, thinking, oh, this one's different. Look, it's got cherry in the middle instead of cream or whatever. And he's saying, I'm going to read that again. They are too small and meaningless to occupy your holy mind an instant longer. He's kind of like begging us. No, he's not begging us. But if you, again, think of, would I rather be in insanity or insanity? Insanity, 2 words. Insane. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. So God's judgment waits for you to set you free. God's judgment is you are holy, eternal, free, whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. That's his only judgment. period. He doesn't think you didn't do it well enough. He didn't think you're a sinner. He doesn't think any of those things. In fact, the Course specifically states there is no such thing as sin. He just judges you as who you are. That's all he knows. Yeah, that one. He sees nothing else but what you are. We keep going, again, we can put God over here with Jesus, that all he knows is this. That's it. Nothing else. Who you are is that. We keep going, oh, no, 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 no. There's some stuff over here I better take care of. And, this other chart, which is kind of a fun one too. If I'm going in this direction to help somebody even, I'm going that direction.
Get pulled in.
You'll get pulled in some way. Instead of just walking towards the light like Mr. Magoo, can't see anything else but the answer.
To be your fault.
Well, then there's usually that on top of it. Yes.
You don't dare blame it on each other.
Yep. So God's judgment waits for you to set you free. And what's God's judgment? Nothing happened. It's here every single Saturday. Nothing happened. The ego says it really happened, and let me tell you why and how we should fix it and how we should change it and how we should make it better. I got it under control because I'm busy.
I'm asking Jesus help. What I'm asking for is to show me how that isn't true. I mean,
Good.
and that isn't looking for something in the world. That's
No.
looking for solid proof from the other side about what truth is. And that's how I don't see it as like, it's not going to be, I want a red car or a blue car. It's going to be, if you're holding this book, you're telling me, help me to see it differently. And I need to hold on to that thought the strongest. And you're telling me it's a difference. Come on, let's have it. I'm waiting.
Yep, that's what we're being asked to do. What can the world hold out to you regardless of your judgments on its gifts that you would rather have? In other words, he's saying, what in the world could you possibly want to hold on to if you could have eternity and oneness and love? And he's trying to really show us the comparison of one or the other, because we're kind of lost in this. We still think there's a whole lot of stuff in the world that's calling my name and I better attend to. And he's saying none of it, nothing, zero is going to replace what this is and your true identity.
I'm not ready. I wish I was a concert pianist. Why didn't I get to do that? I like that
Okay.
a lot. How can I have to be the schmuck?
There you go.
I know.
I know.
It's just that.
But be aware. It doesn't matter. Those are thoughts I'm holding instead of God's thoughts.
Right. And so this is a very good thing for me to be doing, to get ready for these choices again every time about what's more important. And you think that this instrument in your house is more important than
Right.
and then you're going to have to come back and show
right.
everybody. But I don't know, because I'm getting more and more. Well, I'm not, and yet I enjoy doing it. So it's not like I'm being turned off by all the things that look like I would wish I could have them. I'm not being, not being told don't do that now, because that's the way I was raised. Don't touch this, don't do that.
Yep.
And that didn't work. So.
Yep. And if you don't know, you might be called to do that. And that would be a classroom that others could learn your love through that. It's not saying do or don't do anything in the world. It's saying, who are you walking with when you do whatever you do in the world? Totally different.
That's the only lesson that's the only
That's
lesson
it.
that we're expected to understand, because we don't know why anything happens the way it happens, and we never will.
Nope. You will be judged in fairness and in honesty. There is no deceit in God. God only knows what truth is, and what truth is you're holy, eternal, free, whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. Anything else is my plan. All right, his promises are sure. Only remember that. His promises have guaranteed his judgment, and his alone will be accepted in the end. And what is his judgment? Again, you are holy, eternal, free, whole, at peace forever in the heart of God. That's his judgment of all of us, even Saddam Hussein, Hitler, all of us. And I don't know how to put that in my box, okay? I don't know how to figure that out. But by asking him, he will show me how that unfolds. Maybe not this moment, but it will eventually be revealed.
I mean, if he says the peace of God is shining in me now, I want to say that too, but I don't know how that works. And so that's really what my question, when I'm saying those words, repeating those words, I'm asking, show me what this really means.
It is your function to make that end soon. It is your function to hold it to your heart and offer it to all the world to keep it safe. And again, as we offer this to ourselves, we are literally offering it to the world, because I'm no longer encapsulating my brother in his fence by my opinion of his fence is. Because when I do this, I'm going to start to see more of everything and less of the limited aspect of who I think I am and who I think my brother is.
So just the way we're pulling him to guilt, we're pulling him.
Yes.
Into truth.
Yes.
With the same
Yes.
idea.
Yes, because it depends on which one of the thoughts I'm holding that will automatically happen. If I'm holding the thought of the ego, I'm pulling my brother in some form of attack and judgment. When I release that, I'm bringing my brother into the understanding of love without saying a word. This is not Mary Ann doing this, right?
Peace is there.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's all take a nice big deep breath and let it all go. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only love. And there we go. Into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given and accept but this into the minds that you've created and which you love. Amen. Whew, we covered a lot. Practice, practice, practice. See you guys next time. Take care.